SML, welcome to the show with a revolving door of names. I have legal talking on the screen right now, but we like to change the name every other podcast here, so we'll see what I put on the title of this one. It's been a while since we've been here. I mean, we lost Dom for a while last season, kind of put a dent in things, but Prime brought him back on a great trade deal. He got rid of the plague and brought him back. Maybe the greatest trade deals in the history of ever. But regardless, we are set up here with the runner-up to the best bromance, myself, Doink, and Dom. But we've also got the prodigy, everyone's favorite Hertzler. We've got young Hertz. So what do you guys? You guys want to say hello?
What's up? What's up? It's my first podcast, first SML content. Excited to be in the league this year. Excited for what's going down in the Browns organization.
Yeah, happy to be here. Already getting overshadowed by the next big thing. So excited for it.
Yeah. Yeah. Excited to be here. Apparently, QP has a kid. Who knew?
Yeah, we did have a fourth, but he bailed out 15 minutes before we decided to record. So young Hertz took the spot. Very appreciative of that. I think we gave him like a 8 minute heads up basically, and he was all for it. So big shout out to him for that. But
I'll do my best.
yeah, I guess just lean into some softball questions so we can get our content points and get out of here. What are all of your guys' thoughts of the new Madden? I mean, gameplay, the UI's a little bit changed. We've seen some glitches. Everyone's been calling it a skill game. I know that in-game stat glitch has caused some suspensions, but Doink, what are your thoughts on the game so far? Do you enjoy it?
Honestly, I haven't played the game enough to really have a formulated opinion. I've been told that zones changed in the last 24 hours, which I'm gonna experience in full in about 50 minutes. Overall, I think the game's solid. I think they fixed one of the big gripes we had about last Madden was pass rush, and that there was no pass rush. It seems at the very least there's a bit of a pass rush at points, but ultimately it's been an adjustment with the way the game plays and all these new plays. I really haven't settled in yet, but my big takeaway has been I am very glad that we're not dealing with momentum nonsense anymore. So that alone's a win. But between the new kicking, some bunch of the new plays, it's a new game for once. It's not a copy paste, so that's at least nice. Although it's taken some time to adjust to.
Yeah, and I saw there you mentioned new changes to the zones, and I'm sure Hertz, you get a lot of that talk at dinner. So I guess we can stay away from that. But what are your thoughts on the game so far?
I hear bits and pieces from the other room when he's chatting it up with his co-conspirators for sure. But I like this Madden, or mostly because of the running and how it's different than last year. It felt like it was super hard to stop the run. Sometimes it just felt like it was out of your hands. And so far, I haven't played against the Ravens yet, but so far I haven't had much trouble stopping anyone running wise. So that's a big plus. And the momentum um, is huge too, like you mentioned. So I'm enjoying it so far.
Yeah, I think last year we probably had like a handful of guys over 9 yards of carry every single season, like probably up to 10 at some point. I think this year, like you said now, Matt with the Ravens, I think is the only guy in that realm with Derrick Henry, so that kind of makes sense. Dom,
I respect Matt. Just want
yeah,
to get that in.
everyone respects Matt. Dom, is this Madden going to keep you around for the cycle, or are you having second thoughts again?
Are we sure everyone respects Matt? Anyway, we're going. Um, yeah, I haven't played the game much either, and I like it for the most part. Offense seems fun. Like I don't know, I'm not really struggling with offense. I think it's the right level of difficulty, especially on the ground. Like you actually have to make reads in the passing game. I will say, kind of related to passing, like defense is like really difficult. I think zones are kind of broken, so it sounds like they're working to fix that. That would really help. I've given up so many just uncontested deep balls on defense that I don't know. I have no chance of winning those games. But yeah, don't kind of stole my answer. I was going to say, oh, I haven't played the game long enough to form an opinion, but that's my opinion. I think it's a step in the right direction. It's way better than last year's game. I hated last year's game. Um, I thought it was really arcadey. People talk about NCAA being arcadey. Last year's game was a joke, but here we are. I like this one more, and it sounds like they're working to improve it, but we'll see.
Yeah, like you said, I feel like I don't know when the passing zones update was, but every single game of mine was like 30 to 30, and then out of nowhere I couldn't score a point until like the last 3 minutes against Colt. I don't know if it's just his pass rush being insane or if I played at right after the patch, but it was definitely noticeably different. I think I threw like 3 picks right at his cornerbacks and stuff, just dumb mistakes. But I guess just going to the next question, we saw a lot of guys take team or lesser teams in the draft, and then obviously we saw some of those greater teams fall as a result. What was your biggest shock to the draft? Did you gain any respect for anyone that took, a lesser team? There's guys like Tiny who took their home team, and yeah, what are your guys' thoughts? Hertz, you want to start us off here? I know you don't know everyone as much, but
Yeah. It's not like I can predict any of the big shocking moves, but I think personally that I got the Browns was a big shock because I was going in, I was thinking Broncos, Panthers, Titans, maybe Patriots, like teams like that. Um, Never thought about the Browns, even though I heard about the cap. I just thought that they're too good a team to even fall to 32. But I was happily surprised
yeah,
that they fell to me.
I feel like the SML is one of those weird places where good teams like that fall. I mean, we saw the Bengals drop to like what QB was like 25, 26. I know what like 2 or 3 cycles ago the Buccaneers were like 29, Titans were 30 with Derrick Henry, and then the Steelers and Bengals were like 31, 32. Where you don't see that in a lot of other leagues, but it's a nice change for once. Not everyone just taking the top teams. And as someone who did take a lesser team, Dom, any thoughts on or any shockers of the draft for you?
Yeah, Saints suck.
I thought, oh man, Paulie taking the Giants was pretty shocking to me. I know there were ulterior motives there, but that's not even a team I considered. Um, Again, everyone was saying, "Oh, quarterback doesn't matter as much this year. Quarterback doesn't matter as much this year." But you still have the Madden version of Daniel Jones's contract. They don't have Saquon Barkley anymore. Um, I know it was all a ploy to try to get a division, which did not end up working for the good old ball coach. But yeah, that was my first real shock of the draft. Like I was on the draft broadcast. I said it many times. It kind of went chalk pretty deep into it, like 8 or 9 picks into it. So that was the first one that kind of got Stephen D off his seat.
Yeah, I mean, the main thing that sticks out about that Giants team is, you have Dexter Lawrence and then Brian Burns and Kayvon, what is it, Kayvon Thibodeau off the edge, which are just insane cycle pieces. But offensively, I feel like it's Neighbors or bust, and Neighbors is bound to terrible ability since he's a rookie in this game, so that's a little unfortunate. As someone took, as the only person here who actually got one of the better teams, Doink, any shocks for you? Or is it pretty, did it go how you expected? I know like you were on the clock for 4 minutes and used 3 minutes and 59 seconds of it, so I don't know if
I
you were.
did use my full allotted time. I was at dinner, scrambling, trying to get my Stephen D Muse fix between bites. Honestly, the one of the big shocks for me was Woods going back to the Eagles. I mean, he won his Super Bowl with them. He made a couple bowls with them. He had the best cycle of his long illustrious life. But I was surprised he went right back to him. I I thought he'd at least pick a different team to compete with, but now he's going back, running it back. That team is absolutely loaded. He's gonna make some noise with them, although he's starting it off with another tank season. So keep an eye out for Woods in a year or two once he has even more elite talent. I think the Eagles, and then I was just surprised. It's not a player or a person selecting them. It was a no brainer, but the Bengals falling after the amount of hype and talk and narrative around set feet lead, and then Joe Burrow falls to pick 25 or whatever it was shocking.
Who do you guys, anyone think anyone's regretting their teams right now? Just to jump on this before we get out of the draft. I know, like, some people let good teams get past them and took lesser teams, and maybe they're not doing too well. I'm not sure of everyone's record off the top of my head, but I'm sure there's someone
Fig
out there regretting his team pick like 5 weeks into the season or cycle.
Big seems pretty miserable in chat right now. That could just be a game thing, but I don't know. He might be regretting Detroit a little bit.
Yeah, I gotta buy him a beer. I think the biggest regret is the man, the myth, the legend, KJ choosing Team Jesus.
All right, yeah. I guess KJ's in primer now. I'm sure we'll see him up here soon enough with all these suspensions going around.
Can't wait.
All
Yeah, I
right.
mean, I don't know. I don't know. My knowledge of SML is not great enough, but I'll say like I think QB might be regretting his decision. I feel like he kind of got baited into coming to the Bengals just because they were so good where he was at. Um, I don't know how he's gonna enjoy how tough the division is gonna be.
Is that just like how you baited him on the first touchdown of the game?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, that division is pretty insane. I think that one toughest division. So, I mean, without QB there, I don't know who else would have taken that team. I know Filthy was messaging me between the Bengals and the Bills. He didn't last too long though. Fortunately, we lost him, and we got Finn's back, so that's a nice legacy member I had. But um, so I guess just looking at the AFC, it is pretty loaded, and it's definitely voted the better of the conferences. How many unique Super Bowl winners do you guys think we're going to see from each conference, and how many unique winners do we see as a whole? I know everyone's been kind of saying that this is sort of a skill game as opposed to last year, where I I'll be the first to admit I think teams were really tough to overcome. Like if I looked on my schedule and saw QP, I'd be less afraid of that than I would be going in to play KJ in those loaded Jets. It was just one of those games. Now that it's a skill game, I feel like we're seeing Prime dominate like he always does. But how many different Super Bowl representatives, not just winners, do you guys expect to see in each conference? You can name them out or you can just give a number. It's not that big a deal. Softball questions today. Uh, Doink, why don't you start us off real quick?
All right, let's assume. What are we assuming? Eight seasons? Is that the rough estimate here?
Yeah, yeah, we'll say eight.
Nine,
We'll say
eight,
eight. I want to make
nine.
sure it's eight because that ninth season was a mistake. I'll hit the brakes if I have to.
See, there's the not so hard hitting, the harder hitting statements. Um, I think we see. I don't think we see anyone win more than two Super Bowls. I'll say that much. I think we see some parity. I think usual suspects will get theirs. Dan, Prime, Q. I expect we see the NFC is going to win. I'll say this: the NFC is going to win one, maybe two Super Bowls this whole cycle. I think one of those will be a never before champ though, like a Straw, maybe Stavo if he manages that team well. Perhaps Dom once that Saints team gets it going and he decides he likes this game after they fix it. I think this is going to be an AFC dominant cycle, and I think you see a good amount of the usual suspects in the AFC. So I guess that's not an exact number in terms of total Super Bowl winners. I expect we see maybe four or five total Super Bowl winners, but
Yeah,
appearance wise, I think it's a lot of the usual. I think it's going to be the same, maybe four folks in the AFC making it, and I think you'll get some variety in the NFC.
yeah. I feel like
But
the numbers you listed are kind of representative of Madden 23 and before, where if you go on the SML page, you see like four different teams up on the what is it? All the banners, and then you go to Madden 24, and there's just eight of them up there. Hurts, I know you haven't
but
really been around long enough, so it's another weird question for you. But what are your
What
thoughts
is
on?
like the average
I'd say on
usually?
average, Prime normally gets like two, and then yeah, I guess it's Prime. If Prime gets two, then we'll see like five unique guys, and if Prime gets three, then it'll be like four. So that's
Yeah,
about the
I think
average
around
until
honestly,
last cycle.
that five
it,
six
it may
number is
be
what I would.
yeah, like the
Yeah,
the
because I
era
think
where we're post plumber and we're post F word, and it's a new era. But I think the usual suspects. Sorry,
I think there could be more AFC winners than people might or NFC winners than people might expect simply just because they just have to win the one game. So it's not like they have to win as many tougher games, quote unquote, than maybe the other AFC guys. So I think there could be more NFC winners than people think.
Who all did you get to play so far, Hertz? Anyone?
On the
Any
NFC
Super
or
Bowl?
just
Well, I guess just in total, anyone you can see winning the Super Bowl, or have you not played
I
anyone?
thought the strongest person I played was Straw.
Yeah, yeah, I
And
think
so yeah, if he gets to the Super Bowl, I think you have a good chance whoever he plays.
yeah, definitely think
He
Straw's
made,
probably the NFC favorite to go multiple times.
yeah.
Him and then Dumps in there, he'll probably at least make one or two. Um, who
Straw
else
made
is
what, season 1 last year? Is that what it was?
who? Say that again.
Straw made season 1 last year. Is
Yeah,
that
Straw made
that's correct?
season one, and then with an asterisk made season eight after the
Right.
whole
Yep. Yep.
thing against you
Yes.
or
Yes.
whatever.
Yep.
Dumb, is this your year? Are you gonna make it? Are you gonna win it with an 85 third power quarterback?
I've seen better days. I faced Straw in that year one NFC title game last cycle. This year one is going lost in overtime. That one still hurts, but yeah, this started. I'm 3-2-4, 3-4. I don't know. We'll see. I got a few vacations coming up. The first few seasons are definitely gonna be bad, but I think you told me we didn't have to prep for this, and this is a question I would have liked to have prepped for. So I'm just gonna throw some random numbers out here. The AFC number is probably like 5 representatives. Um, it's pretty stacked. These guys are going to have to play each other each round. There's just going to be some fluky situations. There's going to be some I've played this guy a million times situations. And I just think we're going to see a lot of parity and back and forth in the playoffs. NFC, I'm going to say like 4 or 5 different people get there. So I'm getting a lot of representation here. I've always been a big proponent of the people. Um, get some new faces in there. I don't know who's going to win. I'm going to say like we're going to have 5 different champions if we do 8 seasons. If we do a ninth season, I'm out. I'm not going to be here to see that.
Yeah, you and me both, buddy. You and me both. And I did have a little game prepared, but it was kind of catered to our secret bailout member, so you can't really do that. So I'm just gonna throw you guys a quick question on the spot. And I guess between some of these new features, I know in chat the stem routes apparently is a thing. And then there's that defensive skill stick switching type of thing. I don't know what the real name is for. And then there's a lot of these new plays with weird motion and stuff like that, and tight ends crossing the field and running seam routes. Do you guys have any intention of trying out these new features? Do you think you're going to actually implement them into your game on a regular basis, or is it more of just a novelty thing that you're probably going to ignore? Hertz, why don't you start us off for the first time?
The one that I was looking into was the switch stick because I think if you master switch stick, you could be very dangerous on defense. But it's not intuitive for me to do the mechanics because I just play Madden's for so long. So I've like thought about doing it in game, but I only play Madden in game in franchise. So like I don't get practice with it enough, so I just get nervous and just don't do it.
Yeah, I think I was. I don't want to throw out a score because it's going to sound like I'm talking crap, but I don't remember what the exact score was against Meats, or maybe it was someone else. But I got to a point where I was confident that I was gonna win the game, and I just decided, hey, I'm gonna make it a point to like switch stick these next few plays just to give it a see how it feels against some of these speedsters. And I don't know what it is, but I normally hover my thumb on like triangle to be ready for the pick. But taking my thumb off of that and like moving it to the actual right stick is like the weirdest motion for me ever because I never think to use my right stick. Like it's like I'm not like playing Call of Duty, I'm
Yeah,
playing Madden. It's just so weird
yeah.
for me, and I think I gave up like a TD or two. So there's that, and then I
Yeah,
also
no.
I accidentally gave up a TD or two against QB in week one when I didn't know it was a feature, and I just like hit the D-pad or the stick with my thumb or something, not even thinking. But it's definitely gonna take some time to get used to, and in games where it's a blowout one way or the other, I'm probably gonna try and tinker around with it and see if I can get used to it.
Yeah, I agree. And it's one of those things where it's situational as well. Like when if you're going to utilize it, so you can't, it's like hard to practice it because you can't just use it every play.
Yeah.
So it's tough.
Dom, what do you think you're going to use anything, or are you going to go back to what you know works and play traditional style football
Yeah,
and win games?
I've I've become a load up and play guy here in my old age in the SML. This is year 4 or 5, year 4, I think. But I don't know. I think eventually I will feel like it's time to turn it on, and I'm gonna try some stuff. The problem is I don't know where I'm gonna do that. Maybe on the practice field, when I'm bored. But I don't know. Like I've been mentioning it in chat. I'm gone 3 of the next 5 weeks. There's not a lot of point in me trying to master anything right now. I'm just trying to get my games in where I can, learn what I can, and hope these zones are fixed when I come back across the pond.
Yeah, you'll get used to it, and by the time you come back, they're going to change all the zones, and you'll be back to step one, so no real reason to dive into it yet. Doink, you seem like a guy that would get real invested in some of this stuff. You love your hot routes, and maybe stem routes are for you. Any thoughts? I know you love your goofy plays too, so the motion plays kind of really fit your style.
There's some fun stuff in the playbooks. That's been the biggest thing for me. I honestly haven't even looked into stem routes yet. I didn't know there you could rocket boost with stem routes. I didn't even know that was a thing till it got fixed or banned or whatever. What you were saying with the switch stick, that makes sense for you, as switch stick is basically just rocket catching for defense. Uh, no, the big thing for me is the new plays. They added a ton of new plays. We love funky, weird artwork, routes, that sort of thing. Shout out SML legend
I
RD. Squiggly routes
I
are
agree.
back,
By the way,
baby. Thanks, Tom. Uh, Squiggly routes, they got some weird combos, all sorts of, not even just route combos, but actual routes in game that weren't in the game before. You find these weird plays just scrolling through the playbook. That's the type of weird stuff I want to run. That's it's just fun running weird stuff. Quite frankly, there's goofy motions into all sorts of funky things. And experimenting with that, although have actually not touched practice mode yet. I just haven't had time, been busy with life and whatnot. So at some point, I would like to sit down and do that. Well, we'll see if it happens, or if we're doing basically treating it like EA treats Madden and just live beta testing it.
Yeah, I'm kind of in that same spot where I added a bunch of goofy looking plays or trick plays to my playbook, but I haven't actually had
Yep.
the confidence to drop them in game just solely because I haven't really touched practice. I think I went into it for like 30 minutes to look through my playbook just while editing a playbook just to make sure that it looked right and wasn't broken with missing plays and stuff like that, but there's like a flea flicker in the game now. I don't know if anyone's even aware of that.
I
I want to
believe
try
that's
that
enough
out,
of it.
but I'm so afraid to call it in the middle of a game. You know what I mean? Without even seeing it, could just be a broken play that you just fumble every time. Who knows, right?
Yeah,
But
exactly. There's a time and a place to try that, and unfortunately, my schedule coming up is tough. Never mind the fact that most of my games end up being close anyway, so I have not had a chance to do some hood rat shit, but it'll come soon.
well, we have a game tomorrow night, so we can do like 3 new plays each. Have to hit the quota or whatever. Make a little gentleman's agreement.
Oh, sure, absolutely. I'm more focused on Old Hertzler coming up very shortly.
All right. Well,
I'm just
I
not
hopefully
figuring
wait,
this
you guys play tomorrow? Wait, do you two play tomorrow?
we do, yeah.
Oh, we do.
I'm playing Q. Not tomorrow, but maybe Friday, but next advance. That's crazy. Look at that.
What a
Yeah, I'm
bromance.
not sure who brought up Q. I know our secret fourth member that we wouldn't put on blast for bailing out 10 minutes before the
That's
show.
hilarious.
We wouldn't bring him up on a podcast. Well, either way, we've
I,
got
I
our
already did. I let the mole out the bag, as they say.
well, we're 24 minutes in. I promised everyone 20 to
Younger
30
minor.
minutes, so this has been the runner-up to the best bromance of Madden 24, along with our special guest Young Hertz for subbing in for our secret fourth member. Thanks everyone for tuning in again, and we'll see what I put on the title of this podcast, whatever name we go with.
Thank you for having me.
Yes, sir.
Dude, tough.
Later.